Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. So I have a kind of interesting recommendation video for you. So I am an angsty bitch. I like angsty romances. I don't particularly like emotional romances. I don't like those like very linear plots. I want some bullying, I want some mafia, some dark aspects, I want something. So that means that any linear story where not much is going on, maybe there's an early hookup, maybe there's just like some family drama, it's like fake dating, things like that, I'm not really into. They don't really hit the spot for me. But the books on this list, for some reason, hit the spot. I don't know what it was. It might have been the time. It might have been that these authors worked their mojo on me. The first book that I have for this is Bittersweet. This is a small town romance. It's set in Vermont, and the hero is a farmer, and the heroine works for a restaurateur company, and she is tasked with going all around to these farms to get their produce at a discounted price to sell to the restaurants in this chain, I guess would be the best way to describe it. And her and the hero have a past. They had hookups in college, but one of them ghosted the other, and since then they haven't talked. The heroine shows up to the hero's farm, and he immediately is like, you're working for this bad company that wants to take advantage of hardworking farmers, and he tells her basically to F off, and he tells all the local farms about her and what her company stands for. And so he ruins her chances of getting these contracts with these companies. And so she comes back and tells him off. And then she gets entrenched in the life on the farm with the hero and with the hero's family. This is a very tight-knit family. They all live and work on this farm. There are some volunteers in there as well, and some people that live and work there year-round, and they have family dinners, and they have harvesting seasons, and they have all of those things. And she gets pulled into this family very quickly, and they grow to love her, and that sparks the relationship with the hero. I don't usually love sappy romances, but this just hit the spot. Griffin was an absolute daddy. This just was perfect. The atmosphere, the Vermont vibes, the farm, the harvest season, the apple picking, and just like the sweet nature of the family and like the found family aspect was just absolutely beautiful, was completely unexpected. And I don't know if I could ever read a book similar to this again and get the same feelings from it, but it was very well worth stepping out of my comfort zone for. So next up is definitely a book that I stepped out of my comfort zone for. It's Fade to Black. There's really no smut, and it's literally all sap. Just all of that. No angst really, and that is The Unhoneymooners by Christina. So a little bit of backstory with this. I am a pet owner. I have 6 animals, 3 of them being ferrets. And if you know anything about ferret husbandry or anything like that, there's very little gene variation in the US, so that leads to a lot of health issues. And one of our ferrets was showing some concerning signs. And so right around the time that I picked this book up, I had taken her to a vet, and they had told us some pretty bad news with her. Since then, everything's been resolved. It wasn't really what we thought it was. One of the things was that she was possibly blind, which I think that she is, or at least partially blind. That is all to say that I was going through a very rough time, and I needed an audiobook that was just kind of sweet and something that I could lose myself in, and that ended up being The Unhoneymooners. When I finished this, I gave it 5 stars. I have since kind of bumped it down from a 4 to a 3, and it now sits at a 3 because I think I can look at it and say, like, if I read this any other time, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But this just hit all of the spots that I need. It is about Olive and Ethan, and Olive is the bridesmaid, and Ethan is the groomsman for her sister's wedding and his best friend's wedding. And at this wedding, there is a seafood buffet that everybody but Olive and Ethan eat at, and everybody else gets sick, including the bride and the groom, and so they have a non-refundable honeymoon. And now Olive and Ethan have to go on that honeymoon, but they don't really like each other. There was a bad incident when they first met where they were kind of shit-talking a little bit. That left a bad impression. So they don't really like each other, but they go on this honeymoon and shenanigans ensues. They go scuba diving. They do all of like the honeymoon retreat events, and they kind of become a little bit more than enemies. And like I said, this just hit me at the perfect time. It was the sappy, sweet, vacation-esque beach read that I really needed to absorb myself into. And again, I don't know if I would read this now and enjoy it as much as I did, but this definitely just like hit the heart exactly where I needed it. So next up we have equivalent exchange. So this is just a linear romance and is about the hero and the heroine. The heroine has just come out of a DV relationship, and she's at the bar one day and she hooks up with the hero. And the next day she gets an email from this brewing company asking if she wants to get a position there. So she goes to interview, and the interviewer is the hero that she just hooked up with the night before. And this starts their work and romantic relationship. The hero is incredibly open about wanting to be with the heroine, and the heroine is a little bit more reserved. That's her boss, and she just came out of like this kind of traumatic situation. And the hero is deeply, deeply in love with the idea of getting this brewery off the ground. So this is just a very simple people living their life and having a romance, which I don't generally tend to. Okay, you get it, you know the drill. But this was just very mature and very beautiful. Their relationship was fantastic. The author threw in so many tropes that I don't particularly like that would usually cause conflict in the relationship, but they handled it like adults, and it was just kind of beautiful to see. So then we have Nevermind, and this is something that I kind of just picked up on a whim, and it is a sapphic, grumpy sunshine romance between a professional athlete and just like a regular woman. And this was so sweet. The grumpy sunshine aspect in this was just so perfect. So they kind of end up fake dating. They meet at a wedding, but they start fake dating. They go to fake events together, and it eventually sparks a romance. I don't generally like fame. It's another thing. I don't like paparazzi. I don't like the fame aspect of famous people. So it was a shock to me that this worked so much, but it was so sweet. And their relationship worked so well. The heroine that was the soccer player was sexy and open, and just like, it just worked so well. I can't explain really in depth on why it worked, but it just worked very well for me. It's your typical fake dating into a relationship. It just was great. Last one that I want to talk about is Zeny by Rebekah Weatherspoon. So I love Rebekah Weatherspoon. I love her Beard and Bondage series. I loved Rafe, which is a nanny romance, forbidden nanny romance. And then I picked up Zeny, which I had heard fantastic things about. So this is essentially a marriage of inconvenience story about Zeny and Mason. And in the beginning of the book, Zeny's aunt has passed away and left her this large inheritance with the stipulation that she will marry Mason for 30 days and then she will get her inheritance. So they do. They get married, and their relationship is so, so beautiful. If you want to read just kind of an insta-love, communicative, beautiful romance with bi main characters, I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Their relationship is beautiful. They communicate so well. The reception of each other is so open. They really could tell each other everything and feel comfortable. It just was the most beautiful relationship, aside from Rush by Brianna Hale, that I have probably ever read. It was so open and so just accepting of each other and all of their parts and pieces, and they each come from their own past, especially Mason dealing with a lot of biphobia and having to kind of hide who he really is, and just so beautiful. There's pegging in here. The steamy scenes are fantastic. Just highly recommend. Something that I never thought I would like, but I loved a whole bunch. Those are the romance recommendations of books that aren't really my vibe that I really enjoyed anyways. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on any of the books that I recommended in the video. If you read them, if you want to read them, let me know. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.